All right, so we last time we covered the sort of the basics: creating a room, adding exits and endings, painting our components, and setting up our colors. Today we're going to talk about dialogue. So you can see that our sprites and our items have these little built-in dialogue boxes down here, and so we can edit that dialogue to change the dialogue that happens in our game. And there's a lot of different options there. So we're going to cover, I think, most of them, but we're going to do it pretty quickly. So yeah, if we play the game right now, when I collect an item, I get this dialogue. You found a nice warm cup of tea. That's just a default. And that happens every time I collect an item. You can see the box position changes depending on whether I'm in the top half or the bottom half of the window. And then if I talk to a sprite, I get a dialogue there as well. So we have dialogues for both sprites and items. Let's look at our sprite first and just go over some of the basic options here. My editor is doing this weird glitching thing, but I don't want to do that. Okay. Let's stay in this room. And so I can edit the dialogue here, but more likely I'll want to move this or open this little window. And that'll open the window for my cat dialogue. I can cycle through and edit the other dialogues here. And there's, a little few different dialogues. I think I made this when I was just clicking buttons. Anyway, so you can cycle through your dialogues. If you click on this little, I don't know what this is, like a little pen down here, it's going to go to the dialogue of what you have selected. So for example, if I go over to T and then I click on this, it goes back to cat. It's kind of hard to see right now because my screen is kind of condensed on the projector, but this little button will take you to whatever dialogue is currently selected. And same thing with this button. If I'm in here and I just open this up, it's going to take me to the dialogue for whatever I have selected here. Okay, so let's close that and just focus on our dialogue for a moment. So the dialogue system has a lot of options, and we access all of them just through this little add button here, and they just kind of go in order. So if we add a dialogue and we add some dialogue here, and we say, hello, my name is Jerry, I'm a cat. This is just gonna add it directly below here. If I play this and I go down here and talk to the cat, you're gonna see that it just adds that text right next to it. Okay, so that's not exactly what I want, because I can just type in here and, oh, whoops. Okay, I can't undo. I guess be careful where you click. But you could see that it actually added those together because the Bitsy engine kind of looks at it and says like, well, these are just one piece of text. We don't really need this. So anyway, let's add that back in. So I'm going to add a dialogue, put a dialogue and say, hello, my name is Jerry. And then if I want two dialogues like that I have to, hit enter in between, then I want a page break. So I'm going to add a page break here. And then I'm going to add another dialogue. So there's a lot of clicking when you're adding dialogue, but it's kind of nice because there's a lot of different features and you can access them all from that same little menu. So I'm going to say, hello, my name is Jerry, and I'm a cat. Okay. And in this editor, there's like a bunch of different things that we can do here. So if you click on this little AB guy here, when you have the dialogue selected, it shows you some basic styling and effects you can do. You can, let's see, you can change the color palette, but I just want to do something simple. I want to add like a little text effect. So I'm going to do this guy. And you can see it adds these little short codes. These little things are called like short codes. They're not actual code, but they are kind of like our macros from Twine, where they have some code that's built into them. And so we have like this curly bracket section that says wavy, W-V-Y, and then we have a closing curly bracket section. So if you've done any HTML, that's kind of the basic idea. Whatever in between those, so let's move cat in there, that's going to apply this wavy text effect. So if we run this now, if I go talk to this cat guy down here, so we get our first piece of dialogue, and then we get our second piece of dialogue, and we see that little text effect. So the text effect only applies to what's in between these two little brackets. Okay. So let's stop here. Okay, so one thing that's cool about the dialogue editor, the interface is really easy to use, even though you have to click a lot. But if you are familiar with programming and you want to just write it from scratch, you can go to the code editor. And you can actually see what gets generated. So it's pretty simple. It's just, there's our dialogue. Here's this page. PG within those brackets is going to make that page break. And then you can see I'm a, and then wavy cat. So you can also just type your dialogue in here. So if I want to add another break, and I can say, hello, or I already said hello. Let's say, what are we going to say to our player? Are you looking for the secret key? And so we can just actually add in our dialogue here. And then when we go back to hide the code, you can see that Bitsy's going to put it into the format of the visual editor. So you can make edits that way. If you're comfortable editing in text, you might want to just write the whole thing in here. And you can copy and paste stuff. Like if I want to make the secret key wavy, I can just grab this wavy short code and throw it around here and put a little end or closing there. Let's make this a little wider. And so I can write all of my dialogue and all of the structures in there as well. Again, you don't have to do it that way, but it's, it might be a little faster than clicking on everything. So yeah, let's look at a couple other things that we can do. And we'll go over a little bit more when we do some like stuff with the inventory stuff later. We'll go back and look at the code and look at a couple other structures. Okay, so we can also add a bunch of different things. So in dialogue, we just have dialogue and page break. But then we have this thing called lists. And there's a lot of different cool stuff we can do here. We can do a sequence list. And so this is just a sequence of things that happen each time you approach the same character. You can do a cycle list where it cycles through. So they're basically the same. The difference is the cycle list goes back to the beginning versus the sequence list stays on whatever the last one is. You can do a shuffle list, which is just going to be some random thing. And you can do a branching list. So a branching list is going to kind of do different options. So let's add, let's see. Let's add a branching list. Actually, let's do this later because I want to talk more about the inventory stuff because this is going to bring up our inventory stuff. We can like use this little interface to code stuff, but I want to talk about this more. It's actually pretty cool, but let's skip it for now. So I'm gonna trash can this. Let's actually go to our inventory item. So let's X out of here. We'll leave that dialogue for now. Let's go to our items and edit the dialogue here. So here's our T dialogue. So every time we collect a T, it's going to say the same thing, and that's going to get kind of tedious pretty quickly. So that's a good chance to add in one of these lists. And I think either a cycle list or a shuffle list makes sense. Let's do a cycle list for this one. So this will just repeat these items going through every time we go to the T. And it'll do it in order. So I'm going to take out this "you found a nice warm cup of tea" and just paste it in here. And I'll just delete this guy. Okay, so the first time we go is say "you found a nice warm cup of tea." And then the second time we'll say, "Wow, you found another cup of tea. And wait, can I add more? Oh, okay. So I have to select this guy and then add an item here, or no? Oh, the other thing that the dialogue can get pretty crazy because we can put all of these structures inside each other. So it can get pretty convoluted. But what I want to do is just add another to my cycle. So I have to add an option here. So I'm going to click on this sort of outer box here and then click add option. And let's do 4 since I have 4 teacups. And we'll say, you really love tea. And I don't have anything else to say. Okay, so that'll repeat in a cycle. So if we play through this, when I select the tea, I get the first option, and the second, and then the third and fourth. Okay. So that's pretty straightforward. I added a little space here. We can take a look at what that code looks like. So you basically just have those curly brackets that we've seen a couple times already, and then the keyword cycle, and then each item with a little dash in front of it. So I could really easily just add a bunch of options here without clicking on anything by just going here and adding another dash like that and saying more stuff about tea. And then if I leave there, we can see there it is right there. Okay, so that's a cycle list. Let's add a random list to the key dialog. So I'll go to list, I'll go to shuffle list, and so this is going to be randomized. Let's delete this guy. So we'll just add some keys. We'll say you found a key to the cave, and you found a key to the castle. So it'll just do a random one of those, however many we add. You found a key to the cookie jar. Okay, so if I collect some keys, we'll see a random dialogue. So I've got the cave and the castle. That did randomly go in order, but that's just how randomness works. Sometimes you get the order that was originally there. Okay. All right. So yeah, those are a random and cycle. Let's go back to our cat for a moment and look at some of the other options. So we also have room actions. So here is kind of like our endings and exits. Like we can just go straight to a room. So you might have the cat say, you know, if you want to go to the secret room, you know, you can do that. So you can also change the color palette. So you can add an exit, and then we can move the player. Let's move the player to level 1, and then we have to choose where the player is going to show up. So let's take a look at level 1. And we want them to be at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so 13 minus 1 to account for 0 is 12. And then this should just be 0. Oh, maybe I can just click. Okay. Oh, I got it wrong too, so that's good. So you can't just click here. And then you can add a transition effect if you want. Let's do a tunnel. So let's see if that works. Let's go over to our cat. Okay, so then we transition over here, and then I added this before this other dialogue, so that still shows up. Okay, so you can do any of those, you know, other room actions, like we can end the entire game. You can change the color palette. You can, I don't know what the avatar actions actually, oh, you can actually change, yeah, you can change the avatar into like a different artwork. So I could change the main avatar to look like the cat or another sprite as well. So there's a bunch of different actions we can do in here. Let's delete this. Okay. Let's go back. Oh, we still have our T selected. Let's go back to our cat. Okay. So those are the room actions. You can also play sounds. So if we want to play a song or a sound effect, we can do that with our blip or our tune. So we'll just play a sound here. And we can also do item and variable actions, which is what we'll cover next. Okay, so those are sort of the basics. So I'll pause here and we'll do some workshop time. You guys can start working on some dialogue. And in the second part, we will go over the inventory stuff. So we'll be able to add some branching dialogue and do more stuff with inventory and variables. So I'll stop the recording.